Namaste, everybody. Can you hear me? Namaste, Dr. Jasmina. Dr. Salim is there.
Yes, good evening, sir. Namaste. This is Dr.
Namaste.
Jasmine. Yes, sir.
Nice to see you, Doctor.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, first time we are meeting. And Dr. Salim is there today.
Yes, yes,
Salim.
sir. Dr. Salim, sir.
Yeah, Namaste, Dr. Salim. Yeah. So I was inquiring
Welcome, sir.
who is there today taking care of things. And students will be joining soon.
Yes, sir.
But
Join.
we could start the class, so there should not be any problem. We could start the webinar and slowly everybody will join. Because today is
Yes,
Saturday, everybody will be Saturday, Sunday, it's holidays here in Europe. So people are a little bit here and there, going there. I think a few people are there already. Some people are joining from Bangladesh. Some people are joining from France. Some people are joining from Hungary. Some people are joining from UK. So slowly they will come. Dr. Jasmina, I
Yes,
think we can do for 1 hour, maybe
yes, sir.
1 hour and 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. We can give them for the
Discussion.
question and answers.
Fine.
And they have a lot of problem infertility in Europe, Dr. Jasmina.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've been seeing a lot of cases. One of the main reason is the late delivery. This is the main reason.
Okay.
Around 40 years, they are consulting the doctors for conceiving. That's the main issue for infertility. And the lifestyle here is quite different. And the food which are they taking and the lifestyle where they're living is posing a lot of challenges for the infertility. Now, for me, very surprised in India. Whenever I come into India, I see the infertility boards. That makes me crazy because 1.2 billion people in India having infertility clinics. This makes me something surprised in India. You can see that those things in European conditions. If it's fine, if it's in Europe, you can have infertility boards. But still, child is always precious for all the countries. But I think, Dr. Jasmina, today you can give them a very good guidelines for home review from home also what they need to do at the home and their lifestyle because most of the problems are related to these things and they have a lot of issues with uh, polycystic ovary is one of the main commonest diseases, Dr. Jasmina, here,
Yes, sir.
PCOD. And more than that, it's always, I always think that they have a neurohormonal issues, most problem with the thyroid issues they have and huge stress. Everybody is living under
Yes.
huge stress. So there is no concrete, according to my experiences all these years in Europe, there is no concrete one reason for infertility.
Okay.
It's
Yes.
a complex. It's a complex. Of course, I in India, of course, also its situation is changing. And India, I remember that they used to get married around 18 years and 19 years, and by the age of 30 or 40, they already have 4 or 5 children. But now it's in India also. The late marriages are happening around 35, according to what I've been listening. And in Europe, even worse. It's 40 years. People are coming to me at the age of 42, and
Oh,
they wanted to conceive. That's going to be very, very challenge. And I think my students and unfortunately my computer is not working, so I can't see people who are there here in my mobile. So, Dr. Jasmine, I heard about you, and you're doing a great job, great work.
yes. Thank
And
you.
today we would like to listen from you. You could give us a good direction to our students, how they can adopt for their patients and how they can improve their living standards. The women here, they work a lot here, women, and they get only Saturday and Sunday holidays for them, and the lifestyle is different compared to India. Of course, India is fast catching up with the European standard of living and Western countries' style of living. That's maybe these things. So we wish that you could remove all the myths and causative factors which we can what do you say that we can deal with this biggest problem is infertility? Thank you very much, Dr. Jasmina.
Yes, sir.
And Dr. Salim, if you want to introduce me also, you could introduce me
Yes,
or
sir.
your students.
Yes, sir. Good evening and welcome to all participants and all dignitaries here. Sir, I'm audible. I'm audible, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
sir. Yes,
very
sir.
much.
Yeah. Today we arrange international webinar Ayurveda and fertility, infertility, restoring life's natural rhythm. So this is the theme for the webinar. This webinar is organized by Department of Sri Prasutatra Sri Babu Singh Jaising, PG Ayurveda Medical College, Farrukhabad, Uttar Pradesh, in collaboration with the Ayurvedic Association Europe Ayurveda Academy, France. So we will start with the Dharmantari Stavan here first.
नमामि धन्वन्तरिम् आदिदेवम् सुरासुरे वन्दित पादपद्मम् लोके जरारुकभयमृत्युनाशम् दादारमीशम् विविधौषधीना धन्वन्तरिं रमानाथम् सर्वरोगनिवारकम् आयुर्वेदप्रवर्तारम् वन्दे पीयूषदायकम् सर्वे जना सुखिनो भवन्तु सर्वे सन्तु निरामया ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Today we have Director of Association Europe Ayurveda Academy, Dr. Suresh Swarnapuri sir with us. So I will request Dr. Suresh Swarnapuri sir to say something about the academy and about this conference.
Thank you very much, Dr. Salim ji, and very happy and thankful to principal of the institutions for inviting us and joining with us and collaborating with us for organizing this beautiful webinar, and very much important that for this present days. And basically, Association Ayurveda Academy is started in 2018 in France, and also we have a sister organization in Association Ayurveda Academy in London, UK, also in Hrvatski Ayurveda Association in Croatia. And basically, we are doing in Ayurveda Academy a 4 years course, first year, second year, and third year, and fourth year. And students are studying from different countries with us. And a lot of students, four years batch has been, three batches has been left of completing the 4 years, and five batches have been left completing the 3 years. And still we are going on very strongly, and we are following the syllabus of CCIM. And recently we have got accredited with the Rashtriya Ayurveda Vidyapeeth Ministry of Ayush. So we are the first institution outside India to get accredited in collaboration with the Ministry of Ayush. So we also invite students who wants to study with us, who wants to join with us in collaboration with the your institution. Also, we invite them to be part of our teaching group. Also students wants to go join our webinars, our conferences, and they could join in any other working pattern with us also in the future. And what we are doing is, after third year, we are sending our students to India for the clinical training to learn Panchakarma, to learn all the diagnostic methods and whatever the treatment facilities we have in the Indian hospitals. They are learning, and they're coming back to Europe and practicing in their concerned countries. We have students from right from UK to France to Norway, Sweden, Croatia, Slovenia, and Hungary, and people from many walks of life. They're studying in with us. Basically, we have institution in the Paris, also in the southern part of the France. We have a Nîmes city, and the other cities are. We are also having head office in basically in Paris. So we are working a lot to bring the Ayurveda uh, into the European countries. This is my 22nd year. I live in Europe basically, and so try to support Ayurveda with my team, also from UK, also from France, also from India. So collectively, we are working to promote the Ayurveda inside the Europe, as well as in the UK. We have a partnership with the different universities in India and also in Mexico, also from Canada, also from UK. So we are working with all over the world internationally, and we love to support Indian students. Also, we wanted to make them to understand what's going on in the world. That's the main objective, main aim of conducting the webinar is to make the Indian students to understand how popular Ayurveda in the world. That's the main reason why we are conducting webinar today, collaborating to two institutions together. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and for our academy and from the France and the UK and Croatia, and collaborating with your institution. Thank you very much, Dr. Sali.
Thank you very much, Dr. Suresh sir. Suresh sir has given very nice introduction of the Association Europe Ayurveda Academy, and we are very glad to know that many students across the world, across the globe, are getting opportunity to learn Ayurveda abroad, and some doctors also will get opportunities that they can do the short courses and practice Ayurveda as per their opportunities. Okay. So I'm very thankful to Dr. Suresh sir for introducing and also for collaborating with the Indian institutes for the spread of our Ayurveda worldwide. So that's a big opportunity to all of us. So we should support him and we should also encourage him. Okay. So here I will introduce our college in short. Sri Babusri Jaising Ayurved College, Ayurved PG College, Farrukhabad, UP, is established in 2015, running UG course with the 100 seats and PG course in three subjects, that Stri Roga Prasuti Tantra, Shalya Tantra, and Kaumara Bhutya, that is a Bhargava. So these subjects are running, we are running the PG courses in these subjects. College comes among the highest ranked colleges in UP and in India also. And college is trying to attain the excellence in academic, clinical, and research fields with the constituent support with our chairman, sir, Dr. Shailen Singh Yadav, and chairperson, madam, Dr. Sunita Yadav, ma'am. So they are supporting quite a lot for the organizing this type of webinars and conferences, etc. Also, our Honorable Principal Sir, Dr. Manjunath Sir, Vice Principal Sir, Dr. Ram Babu Sir, are leading the institute to take it to the excellence of the academics. So we are very thankful to all of these. Here for the today's webinar, we have very dynamic personality in the field of the Ayurveda gynecology and obstetrics. Dr. Jasmine Madam from the Anand, that is J. Patel Ayurveda College, Anand, Gujarat. So she has very vast experience in clinical fields, in research fields, also in academics, and some she has involved in many related activities, also like the syllabus designing at NCSM level. So I will introduce her very, her, that is a career is very dynamic and achievements are very wide. So I will try here to describe these in short time. So Dr. Jasmine Ritesh Gujarati uh, has passed her UG from the Gujarat Ayurved University. That is a Pal Hanuman Ayurved Mahavidyalaya from Gujarat Ayurved University, and she achieved final, that is the second rank in the final year MBBS. She has completed her PGs, that is MS in Srirok Prasut Tantra from ITRA Jamnagar in year 2006. She completed her PhD studies from Parul University on the topic that is ethnographical studies on menstrual taboos and Rajaswala Parichatra. Presently she is working as a professor in the Department of Srirok Tantra at J.J. Patel Institute of Ayurvedic Studies and Research, CVM University, New Vallabh Vidyanagar, Anand, Gujarat. Her total teaching experience is about 18 years. She has attended various seminars, around about 18 national and international seminars. She has attended also various CMEs and workshops. Then again, she has also participated as chairperson, co-chairpersons at national and international conferences. She has presented about 17 research papers in various national and international seminars also. She has received the Best Paper Award twice at the national level. Okay. She has done also keynote addresses in various seminars, specifically designer on the subject, that is the designer babies and Puskar, in international seminar on higher education at Hindu University in Bali, Indonesia in May 2019. She has published 53 research papers in peer-reviewed national and international journals. Also, she has published 3 books, and her recent book is on Garbha Sanskar techniques in Ayurveda. She also has various chapters in various edited books. She has also given 130 guest lectures in various national, international seminars, conferences, and workshops. She also participated in sphere meets sponsored by Ministry of Ayush, RAV, ITRA Jamnagar, All India Institute of Ayurveda, New Delhi, etc. She has also developed e-content, participated in development of e-content, that is a designer babies and Garbha Samskar. Then she has also participated in video preparation at the All India Institute of Ayurveda, New Delhi, for online learning management systems and development of new modules in Prasut Tantra Srirok by Ministry of Ayush through Rashtriya Ayurved Vidyapit. She also has copyright of the questionnaire under the literary work under IPR. She has presented. She has also participated as principal investigator on the projects like the action-based cross-sectional study on menstrual hygiene, prevalence, and management of menstrual disorders in adolescent young girls of coastal and rural areas of Anand district. She also acted as a co-investigator in 2 projects. She has various clinical skills, specifically in male and female infertility, PCOS, PCOD, cervical erosions, chronic leukorrhea, uterine fibroids, etc. She has experience of conducting more than 2,000 Uttar Bastis, that is a remarkable achievement, and she has also done more than 500 Agni Karma procedures for the cervical erosion in last 16 years. She also has the editor, act as editor in chief, associate editor in peer-reviewed journals JHM, GAP Bodhi Taru Global Journal of Humanities, GAP Interdisciplinaries, a global journal of the interdisciplinary studies. She also she is also on the editor. She also is a
Sir, you
editorial
can
board
skip.
member of JHM. I will finish.
Yes, sir.
I will finish. Just 2 lines remain. So she also has an expert committee member in CBDC syllabus of third year Prasut Tantra Stilok subject. She also is a QCI assessor for assessment and rating of the Ayurveda colleges. So this is a brief introduction for Dr. Jasmine ma'am. Now I will request Dr. Jasmine ma'am to continue with the her topic. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, and for a very detailed introduction. And good evening to everybody. Sir, I'm sharing the screen. Is it visible now?
Yes,
Yeah, we can see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Uh, I want to welcome all those who are joining from many other countries. And first of all, I want to apologize that suddenly my camera stopped working on the laptop. So you maybe you will not be able to see me, but in the end, maybe I will join from my mobile, so I can start the camera from there. Suddenly, somehow it stopped. So I apologize for that. So I'm glad that Suresh sir is working so much for the propagation of Ayurveda in so many ways, and the students are learning so many things, and even they get a chance to visit India and see how the treatment approach is there and how it is being done. And I must thank at the outset to the organizers and especially this academy for inviting me. So, without taking much time, so today's topic is Ayurveda and infertility. Very difficult to cover within 1 hour or so, but still, I want to add certain points which are more being neglected, or I will say that they are not much taken care of while treating infertility patients. I'm not going to give you the prescriptions or directly the treatment protocols and everything, but still somehow to provoke that yes, this might be the way of thinking. And as Suresh sir rightly said, that nowadays we are getting more and more patients of infertility. The demand is so much high. I will even show you that the market is going higher and higher day by day, especially in India and other countries also. And we will see few management guidelines as far as Ayurveda protocol and even other sciences like yoga and many other things to very important topic they have given is restoring life's natural rhythm. So this is what we require, because fertility is a natural process, but it has somehow been gotten into imbalance because of the diet and lifestyle and many other factors. So we want to restore, and what can be the best way other than Ayurveda, because it is the basic life science to restore the life's natural rhythm. So yes, as sir also said, it is the modern day challenge, and 1 in 6 couples worldwide they face this issue. This is from the WHO in latest to 2023, and these are the primary causes that you all know: imbalances in the hormones, chronic stress, poor diet and lifestyle, environmental toxins, and even disrupted biological rhythms because of the very hectic schedules, like sir said, that they don't get time only Saturday Sunday. So this all causes the disturbance in the biological rhythm. And health, reproductive health is not just this thing, but it's an expression of the total body balance, that mind, digestion, sleep, and even emotional wellness. If those all these are in alignment, then only the reproductive health will be maintained or sustained. And fertility will be a sign of this overall wellness, but not just the ability to conceive. So what is infertility? That will become the reflection of imbalance in mind, body, and consciousness. So not just to target it as a particular systemic illness or a systemic disease, but we have to take into consideration the imbalance in the mind, body, and consciousness also. Not just a hormone, or not just you can say ovary or any other organ in the body, but totally all these things. So yes, Indian society, as I said, that most of the Indian population they suffer, and every six, and fertility rates are dropping, and more parents are investing money into the planned pregnancies than in the past. And yes, as I said, that the market of infertility is growing day by day, and you can see that they have estimated that 12.5% between 2022 and 2028. So it's a huge growth in the infertility market. This is only Indian market. You can understand that how much it will be. As sir also said, that it is growing day by day in other. So what are the consequences? Of course, it is an emotional and physical, psychological, financial, social, behavioral, all kinds of imbalances they happen because of infertility, to the individual, to the family, even into the to the community also. There is a psychological upset and everything. And that all will reflect in the reduced job performances, marital duresses, economic hardships and loss of social status and stigma and so many things, especially in the rural, we can say that the rural areas in India, and even at some places you'll find that many people, they have been isolated just because they are not able to have a child. And especially the treatment options what the modern medicine is rendering for the accomplishment of the fertility, they can be uncomfortable, painful, and sometimes even life threatening for the female. And ultimately the women's well-being is more seriously affected than men because of infertility, because of the social stigma and the emotional imbalances and even the stress factor. So this is why we want to talk about more. So coming from this introduction to the requirements of fertility, we all know sufficient numbers of sperms, normal cervical mucus and other secretions from the uterus and tubes to allow the proper migration and the transport of the sperm. Timely release of the female gamete is necessary, and which can migrate normally, so the fallopian tubes play a very important role. Normal ovarian function, not just to provide the gamete but also to provide the hormones to support the endometrium and the implanted this embryo. And endometrium should be receptive for the implantation, it should not just reject the implanted embryo. So the factors which are influencing the fertility, you all very well know that the congenital and hormonal disorders, the lifestyles, especially you can see the radiations and pollutions and chemicals and pesticides, even the chemicals which are used in the cosmetics, they are also hampering the body's natural rhythm. The pharmaceutical drugs, smoking and drinking, of course, disturb circadian rhythm, especially for those who are working shift jobs. It becomes very difficult for them to maintain their biological clock. The stress, eating disorders, obesity, a very widely disorder which is being manifested, especially in India also. Improper eating habits, socio-economic factors, sexually transmitted infections is nowadays becoming a very major concern, because once the female is subjected to such infections, it causes irreversible damages to the fallopian tube and even the endometrium. So one has to be very careful while diagnosing the patient of infertility, because if this is the root cause, sometimes it may cause the irreparable damage to the fallopian tube. It may seem open, it may seem patent, but there might be functional damage to the fallopian tubes because of this. So psychological, environmental hazards and lifestyle factors, these are the factors which influence the fertility. So timeline, as sir also said in the beginning, that nowadays people are getting married at a very late age because of the urban lifestyle, because of the increased education, and people are living in nuclear families, so that is why they plan the family at a very later half of their life. And this reduces so many aspects of the fertility in the male as well as the female. So as you can see, it decreased testosterone, decreased sperm motility, volume count, even the morphology and DNA damage. Nowadays, a normal semen parameters does not mean that the male is fertile. There is DFI, DNA fragmentation index, where the DNA of the sperms is divided into so many fragments. So maybe though that sperm may seem normal in the semen analysis or parameters, but it is not fertile, it will not be able to fertilize the ovum. So this has become a very grave concern for age related conditions also, and for other environmental toxins also. Similarly in female, decreased ovarian reserve, we all know AMH and everything will decline, chances of chromosomal anomaly, abortions, and even implantation failure. So age becomes a very important factor for the male. It was previously being said that male, whatever age, they are able to conceive and provide the proper sperms, but you can see here that slowly there is even decline in the male parameters also. In female, of course, we know the fertility age is 18 to 35. So here's again same thing over here. You can see the genetically abnormal oocytes. As the age advances, the normal oocytes will decrease. As I said, obesity, you can see the mechanism. It is causing so many damage to so many organs and leading to right from the hypothalamus to ovaries to endometrium and even to the embryo. Because of so many pathology, there is a chain of events. Once this obesity manifests, there is a chain of events which occurs in the female's system, not only the reproductive but many other systems, which renders her infertile by acting on the hypothalamus, also on the ovaries, endometrium, and even if she conceives, it may lead to recurrent miscarriages also. So obesity nowadays has become a grave concern. Yes, sir said that, madam, please remove the myths and state the facts. So stating the facts is that both partners are equally responsible. We should not only blame a female for not conceiving or having infertility. Both partners are equally responsible. Gone are the days now we get a good semen parameter showing 100 plus million count and 60% plus motility. Gone are the days. Very few male have like 30%, less than 30% have normal semen characteristics. This is a fact, and the reason is increasing lifestyle ailments, especially diabetes. Even I have not mentioned, but stress is very important factor, and obesity, they play a major role. Over 40%, as I said before also, women attending the fertility clinics are obese. So if we do not treat this, we will not get any benefit in the enhancing the fertility. So this is a major concern. We should first look after the obesity, and then patients do come to us by taking n number of medications throughout 10 years, 15 years, and those medicines also, as a side effect, it cause increase in the weight. Rising incidences of sexually transmitted disease, even PCOD, as sir very rightly said, and genital tuberculosis, again rendering the fallopian tubes completely non-functional. Rise in the use of emergency contraception, again, which increases the chances of STDs, unprotected coitus, surgical abortions. All this may cause the irreversible damage. Pesticides, already we have discussed this, which may cause genetic mutations not only in the present generation, but if that female conceives and she has a girl child in her womb, the future that girl child even may suffer from infertility. So that is also mentioned in our classics in Ayurveda since long, Bij Bij Bhagavayo, and this is being talked nowadays also, that these genetic mutations may also render a girl who is still in the womb of the mother may be infertile. So 80%, another fact is that 80% of such cases can be managed with simple and routine treatments. Only genuine cases needs to be referred for advanced fertility. Like in Ayurveda, you must be saying that, knowing that samprapti vigatan, we should break the pathogenesis. So that is important. And nidan parivarjan, what are the causative factors we need to totally make them stop, so that we can get proper this thing. And like IVF, it's a very very few, but nowadays you can see mushroom blooming of the IVF centers and surrogacy centers. But 80% of such cases can be managed with the routine treatments. So as I said, stress. So stress doesn't only cause hormonal imbalances. In female, you can see that stress or psychogenic causes disrupt her entire reproductive organs, starting from the vagina, the cervix, the uterus, tubes, ovarian ligaments, each and every organ of her body, reproductive health, ovary, endocrine glands, immunity also, and even sex, lack of sexual desire. So it is very important whenever you get a couple of infertility, whenever you give them some time, especially the female, for counseling. Because many times when the female comes to us and we do some counseling and reduce the stress, we may reduce all such things like complete suppression of menstrual cycle or increased amounts of prolactin. Because prolactin is also, hyperprolactinemia is also a cause which suppresses the FSH and lead to anovulation. So it may be psychological. So it is very important whenever they come to us that we give them adequate counseling and support to reduce her stress and other things. So yes, as I said, entire, each and every part, starting from the introitus to the vagina to the cervix, endometrium, even the fallopian tube, each and every organ is very much active for conception, and it is very much required that one must take care not only of hormones, not only of ovaries, not only of endometrium, but vagina, cervix, each and every part of the female reproductive system should be taken care of. Like in Ayurveda, kshetra, it is being mentioned, and kshetra is not only garbhashay. Kshetra is also the female's entire body, which is going to receive the embryo and continue to nurture it throughout the 9 months of pregnancy. So when you talk about the diagnosis, history is very important followed by clinical examination and investigations. So while taking history, we should ensure that both the couple should be present, and starting from their basic history of diet and lifestyle and sleeping time and everything, even the history of the intercourse timings and everything should be taken care of, whether there is proper ejaculation, and whether the semen stays in the vagina or it is being pushed out, and even the this diet and lifestyle, and each and every point should be taken care of while taking the history, and even whether they are under any medications or not. Clinical examination will rule out many things. I will not go into detail because we want to talk about more about the management guidelines and investigations whenever necessary, whenever you are in doubt, because unless and until you know the cause, that what is the reason for infertility, you won't be able to treat. So as and when required, investigation should be performed, and proper guidelines should be taken from the investigations to manage the case. So which are the factors which affect the management whenever anybody comes to you? Age of the couple, as I have mentioned previously also, age is a very important factor. And yes, couples do come to us at a very higher age group, because they have already tried so many centers, fertility centers, and they are tired of those centers and not getting any satisfactory treatment, and then they come to us. So already they are plus 35 plus and more than that. But we should be very much aware about the age limitations, and of course we can provide the support, but whenever it is required, we should even tell the patient, we should inform the patient that yes, this is the thing, and we need to be very careful about the age. Do not go on lingering the patient for a very longer time and waste their time, just giving certain medications and allowing them to continue that for a longer time without getting any benefits. So age is very important. Duration of infertility, longer the duration of infertility, lesser the chances. Of course they may get success, we get success 10 years of infertility, even 12 years of infertility. But again, we should make the patient aware that more the duration of infertility, the chances are that we should continue the treatment for longer, and it may not be success every time. Previous treatment responses, they come with IVF failures, they have undergone IVF and they come with 6 cycles, 5 cycles, 4 cycles, and even more than that, and they said that we have undergone each and everything, but there is no response. So again, be careful while treating such patients. What is the cause? If the fallopian tubes are totally damaged, if they are not functional, it will render. If there is premature ovarian failure, of course, we have to vigorously check whether we can help some way or not. So cause is very important. Even economic status. Some treatment might be little bit costly, whether they are able to therapies, even whether they will be able to afford. So these are very important factors we should take into consideration while managing. So investigate the cause and then treat. Correct the frequency and timing of intercourse. Treatment only after basic investigation and diagnosis. Just blindly do not start any treatment. Emotional support, as I said, is very much important. When to refer and when to stop. This is again, as I said, that you should not go on continuing the treatment without any satisfactory changes, positive changes in the patient. Improve the nutrition and quit the addiction. Counseling and assurance, patience is required. Minimum 6 months to 1 year minimum. You should have patience, and the patient should also have that patience to continue the regular treatment and therapies. Lifestyle modification, we will see what needs to be done. Weight management, BMI should be in the proper range. Timing of the coitus, accurate information of cause and eradication of the myths, as we talked about. Type of treatment and cost, and even treatment options should be very well made aware to the patient. So timeline to complete the family before 35, this is must. This should be made aware to each and every, not only the couples but those who are in colleges also. This should be made aware that the timeline for female is complete the family before 35. This is very important. Prevent the infections, even puerperal infections, that is postpartum infections, because sometimes after delivery also such infections may render the irreversible damages. Invasive procedures and pelvic surgery should be as far as possible prevented. Management of thyroid, as sir rightly said, that it is increasing day by day. and the reasons are again the pesticides and fertilizers and so many things which we take on a very regular basis. Other systemic nutritional disorders, quitting the addictions, and even medications which may impair the reproductive health. So this is just, I mentioned earlier, that the future generation, female, even the male or the female, it is also affected her. Even there are genetic mutations we have seen in the PCOS. It runs in the family because there is genetic mutation in the ovary, and many genes, even androgen genes, aromatase enzyme genes, and many other genes, the mutations, it causes the PCOD. So, what are the essential factors for conception according to Ayurveda? Very quickly, we will go through this Rutu, Kshetra, Ambu, and Bij, as I mentioned, proper timing, the reproductive field, the nutritive fluid, and the seed. So, doesn't mean Rutu doesn't mean only the fertile window, that is 8 to 16th day or 8 to 12th to 16th day, but also seasonal and age appropriateness. So, Rutu also means that which is the age appropriateness, as I said earlier, before 35. Also the timing of coitus, even the emotional, because stress again will lead to improper act of the coitus and improper this thing. So even seasonal environment can influence conception. So field refers to sowing a seed. So anatomically and functionally healthy, okay, free from any infections, healthy entire genital system and her body also. So it will favor proper implantation and even growth. Balanced vat pit kapha is also very much necessary in the female's body, not only the reproductive, but in the female body to favor the proper growth. Even the nutritional support and the especially very important is the male gametes and the female gametes. Bij should be untainted by the doshas. Okay, they should be capable of fusion. So, and it can be affected. The quality of the gametes can be affected by the ahar, that is the diet, the vihar, that is the lifestyle, the stress, and the genetic health. So, to ensure a proper sperm and ovum, it is very much important that the proper diet lifestyle should be maintained. So, additional factors are the psychology, the destiny, as Ayurveda very well says, the daiv. At many places where you are not able to find any cause, like nowadays they say it is unexplained infertility. We are not able to explain what is the cause, but Ayurveda says that daiv, that is the divine will or the destiny, is also one of, and that is why they have mentioned daiva pashay chikitsa also, where the karmic or cosmic influences are there. So we have to manage it accordingly, and even diet and lifestyle, as mentioned earlier many times. So how to restore the natural rhythm? So diet and lifestyle, personalized therapies, and mentioned in our text, panchakarma, as you all know, very important, where we have aggravated doshas and we cannot cure them only by giving medications. Rasayana is a very good therapeutic action, which is a rejuvenative, especially in nowadays cases where we get very fast aging signs in terms of ovarian decline and even sperm decline. And very importantly, garbha sanskara. These are the techniques which are being done pre-conception and also after conception to ensure a healthy offspring and also to ensure fertility. So yes, these are the factors which are mentioned in our text. Age, as I mentioned, gotra, that is to avoid consanguinity, to avoid the family between the consanguineous first degree or second degree relative, that is even being mentioned in our text. The regimen during menstruation, I will come back to that, that certain proper disciplined lifestyle, it's to be adapted at the time of menstruation, which is very necessary to prevent the oxidative stress which may damage the ovarian follicles. So that is importantly mentioned in our text. Diet, health status of the couple, certain rituals like putreshti yagna and all, which are to be done just before conception, the psyche of the both the partners, and even the regimen during pregnancy. So these are all the factors which may influence uh, uh, achieving a pregnancy and even maintaining a healthy progeny. So as I mentioned, garbhadhan sanskar, that is a preconception care. So this not only ensures a offspring who is healthy, but also a proper conception and natural conception. So selecting a partner which is of proper consanguinity, not consanguinity, proper age, and many other contraindicated conditions are being mentioned, that there should not be any disease running in the family, genetic disease running in the family. So all these things, following the paricharyas, that is Rajasvala, that is during menstruation, and Rutumati, that is when she is in the fertile window. So what she needs to do when she is in the fertile window, she should adorn herself with the garments, and she should take certain aphrodisiacs maybe, and then they both should try for the conception. So this is also being mentioned. Abstinence is important just prior to 1 month to the trying for the natural conception, to improve the quality and quantity of the spermatozoa. Body purification in terms of panchakarma procedures, conjugation only on special days, that is in Rutukala, which is being mentioned in our text right from the stoppage of menstruation till the 14th day, or you can say even Dwadash Ratri, it is being mentioned, that is 12th day of the menstrual cycle. Even you might be aware that maximum conceptions are being rendered uh, before the ovulation. This is a study which has been published, and it is known that before ovulation, that is before the 14th day, if there is conjugation of male and female, if there is intercourse, it will render to a normal conception. This is what Ayurveda says also, Rutustu Dwadasharatram Bhavati Drashtartavad, that is before ovulation, the 12 nights are very much necessary after stoppage of menstruation, because the female genital environment is very much receptive for the spermatozoas to take and migrate to the fallopian tube. So that is what is being mentioned. The position of the intercourse, the hymn to be recited, contraindicated conditions. There are certain days when Amavasya and all these things, Trayodashi, Ekadashi, these are all the days or tithis which are being mentioned that they should be contraindicated for this. And Punsavan Sanskar is also one of the ritual amongst the 16 sanskaras which are to be done to get a healthy progeny, not only for after pregnancy but before conception also, to have a positive changes in the female genital environment. This is also being done. So improving, upgrading the physical, psychological, and spiritual constitution of the future generation, and getting a natural conception, all these things. So factors are already said, 40% we get more than 40% nowadays PCOD patients in ovulation. Tubal disease is right behind, following 30%. Unexplained cervical factor and peritoneal. I will not going into detailed prescription of each and every factor, but a very quick, because we want to see naturally also how we can do that. Very quickly we will see through the guidelines, like for example PCOD or anovulation, we can do the investigations like hormonal profile of FSH, LH, prolactin, even AMH and thyroid stimulating hormone. But the proper diagnosis of anovulation is done by USG, which is a transvaginal sonography, and the cause of anovulation will be known by doing the hormonal investigations. So Ayurvedic management, what it says is, it starts with Shodhana, that is body purification. So it can be done in the form of Vamana, where cough is more aggravated. Virechana, Bijam Karmukam Bhavati. Virechana is a purgation. It's an entire process where it is said that Bijam Bhavati Karmukam, in our text. Bij is male and female gametes. The functionality of the male and female gametes will improve after the Virechana. So that can be done. Basti is the medicated enema, and Uttar Basti is again medicated insertion of oil or ghee. We will see that later. So we can start with these procedures, because patients will be coming to us with long days and months and years of treatment. So if we start with Shodhana, we'll get a very positive changes, quick changes in her body. And once you get such quick responses in her body, she will become more in positive attitude. She will have more confidence in herself and her body, that yes, my body is responding positively, and the patient will have faith in you also to continue the treatment. So this is very important, that whenever they come to you with the long this duration of infertility, plan for a Shodhana prior to giving any medication. So Shamana in the form of medications, n number, I have just given this as an example. There are n number of medications, but you need to prescribe. At other countries, maybe it is difficult to prescribe Ayurveda medications. Not necessary also. We can give certain other options in terms of which can improve that fertility. I will show them the single herbal medications also later. So like yoga asanas, I will show them diet regulation. Again, I will go to the pathya. So this is general guidelines. If there is anovulation, what needs to be done. If there is tubal blockage, again, Uttar Basti is very, very good. We have seen many cases with bilateral fimbrial blockage also, which is very difficult to open as far as the modern medical science is also concerned. Their tubes also get opened with this very simple but very skillful procedure, which is called as Uttar Basti, and which has to be done under very good and with good environment and aseptic precautions. So we will see that also, and certain medications and local therapies. We might neglect sometimes the local therapies which may give miraculous results in many cases, and sometimes even where you are not able to provide certain therapies like Uttar Basti, because skill is required, proper setup is required. So if you are not able to provide this Uttar Basti, there are options like Yoni Pichu, Yoni Dhupan, Yoni Prakshalan. So that is douching and applying the tampon or giving fumigation to the yoni vagina. So these are the alternative options which can be done with a very minimal infrastructure and skill also, and giving tremendous benefits. Okay, endometriosis again rising. So many patients of endometriosis we get nowadays. So Basti is importantly given with the help of Tiktak Shri Basti. Virechan is being done, and medications also Yoni Dhupan and Yoni Pichu. Just I'm mentioning the guidelines. Okay, I'm not, because each and every disease it will take more than 2 days to understand. So not going into detail. Poor ovarian reserve. So in this case, you need to give certain medications which are rasayana in property, rejuvenative. Okay, like shatavari, asparagus, ashwagandha, jivaniyagan, dravyas, even sonavasan malti. All these rasayana medications which will improve, rejuvenate the ovarian follicles. So that is required. Luteal phase defect, again, you get very good responses with shatavari and ashoka. Saraka ashoka is the Latin name. Cervical or hostile mucus, if it is there, you can treat the cervical mucus defect by local therapies also, and by giving certain oral medications, tampons of certain medications which are being prepared in the form of medicated oil or medicated ghee, that can be given. Fibroids again can be treated. If they are more than 4 centimeter in size, go for surgery. But if they are less than 4 centimeter, of course you can go for the treatment to reduce the size and number. And these are the treatment options, again starting from the shodhana, that is purification, to the oral therapies, and even as I said, if needed, rasayana therapy. Unexplained, you do panchkarma based on the dosha predominance, that what kind of dosha predominance you are getting, and accordingly. And garbha sanskar, devapashay chikitsa, sattvavajay chikitsa, yoga and meditation, and chakra alignment, all this will help a lot in all the cases, especially in the patients of unexplained infertility. So coming to Uttar Basti very quickly, as I said, medicated oil or ghee, gently it is inserted through the intrauterine route, and using a very soft, we use intrauterine insemination cannula to insert this medicated oil, and it is to be done under expert supervision and in strict aseptic conditions, while taking all the precautions that we should not introduce any infection. So what will happen is, to ovaries, it will stimulate better hormonal function and follicle development. In the endometrium, it improves the thickness and receptivity for implantation. Fallopian tubes, it has, dissolve the mild blockages. As I said, not only mild, even major blockages after ectopic or many surgeries, and even as I said, fimbrial blockages also are dissolved or opened with the help of this. Even it will improve the function post tuberculosis. Okay, endometrial tuberculosis, the patient has taken the treatment for 6 months and 9 months. You do the investigations, and it shows that the fallopian tubes are open, but they are not functional, because the tuberculosis might damage the ciliary movement of the fallopian tube, and even the peristaltic movement of the fallopian tube, which is very, very important for the migration and the transport of the ovum as well as the embryo. So this Uttar Basti, where we use a medicated oil or ghee, it restores the natural function of the fallopian tube and improving the ciliary movement and the peristaltic movement. Even upon what we know that the reproductive energy, what we said that it is responsible for ovulation, menstruation, and conception. All this will be regulated by doing this Uttar Basti. So these are the indications. Not going into detail, you may get many research papers where they have shown that what medicated oil or ghee is to be used in which condition to get appropriate results. So these are just few examples that what needs to be used for Uttar Basti to get the appropriate results. So as I said, Panchkarma to be done according to the dosha. So if you have analyzed the dosha dominance in a patient, so if she is a Vata dominant person, you might get it knowing by certain her. I will show you that how to know that she is a Vata dominant by the menstrual cycles, by her body constitution, and many things you must be knowing. So what you can do is give a Mrudu Virechan, perform a medicated basti, that is enema and Uttar Basti. If not, you can give a vaginal tampon of a medicated oil or ghee, and these are the medications which you can use for such conditions. Even if she is a pitta dominant person, Virechan Basti Pichu, and the drug of choice is in that cases will be Yasti Madhu, Glyceriza glabra, Manjistha, Sariva, Shatavari, all these things, even Dadima Digrit you can use, which will balance the pitta. And in kapha dominant condition, of course, we know in such as PCOD also, Vamana is a very good therapeutic first line of treatment approach, followed by Basti and a medicated suppository. Okay, Varti is a medicated suppository which can be kept in the vagina to relieve or the clade or the kapha. And these are the medications which can be used in kapha dominant conditions like Gomutra or Hinguvachadi tel or Kshar tel. Even Lashuna, garlic, is considered to be a very important this ingredient while treating a kapha dominant patient. Okay, so while treating the patients, we should also be take care of the quality of life. And as very rightly, infertility is, as we have mentioned, that emotional imbalances, social imbalances. So the improvement of quality of life also should be taken care of, seeing into emotional, mind body relational, and even social status. So these are the different aspects of the quality of life. So sadness, grief, and even mind body and social. So whenever you are doing any research or you're treating any patient, so be careful that quality of life of the patient is also taken into consideration. Yes, coming to what to do now. So lifestyle is to maintain the BMI, fixed time to eat and sleep. I will go into detail of each and everything. Asanas and meditation to restore the life's rhythm naturally. So that is what we want, and it can be done. So this is just a guideline, and especially the patients who are suffering from PCOD or those who are having anovulation. So pathya and apathya. So what they can consume and what should be completely avoided. So you can see over here that brown rice and green leafy vegetables, millets nowadays it is in so much being marketed daily, barley, poha, even green tea or mint tea, oats, upma, fresh fruits. What will all this do is it will reduce the inflammation in the body. It will reduce the oxidative stress in the body. Nowadays, you get PCOD patients who are not obese. They are having a normal body mass index, but still they are suffering from polycystic ovarian disease. And the reason for that is chronic inflammation. It is there in the body because of consumption of inflammatory diet, and even from the xenoestrogens and pesticides what they are taking on the daily basis, even the radiations which they are affected. So this all diet kind of diet will reduce the inflammation and even the oxidative stress in the body to have the reversal in the pathology of the ovary and even the entire body reproductive health. Apathya, which is to be avoided, is rice, wheat, and white flour, which again causes inflammation. Okay, and especially in the obese patient, this should be totally sugar, bakery products, even dairy products like milk. There was lots of talk about A1 milk and A2 milk, and it was being said that certain kinds of milk are inflammatory. Yes, because they may cause inflammation and chronic. It is not like that milk we consume only once in a while. So on the regular basis, if such type of milk is being consumed, it is going to cause inflammation in the body and lead to inflammatory PCOD. So one should be very careful while giving the dietary advices that what kind of milk should be consumed and what not. Carbonated drinks are again inflammatory. Hydrogenated food, fruit juices which are packed, only fresh fruits needs to be taken. Packaged fruits which contains chemicals and preservatives again cause, they damage the gut microbiota. And nowadays, we Ayurved say that all the diseases generate from the udar, that is from the gut. And recent researches, they support this. They say that all the disease whatever which are happening, maybe psychological, maybe physical, all the diseases are occurring only because of the changes in the gut microbiome. Okay, and PCOD is one of the disease which is being thought or which is being researched to be caused by the imbalance in the gut microbiota. So nowadays they are telling that take more probiotics. Okay, they give more probiotics and all these things. So fruit juices not to be taken, packet not to be taken, junk food, refined carbs. There is a controversy about coffee. Many researchers say that coffee is good for PCOD, and many say that no, it's not good for PCOD. So I will not going into detail of that, but yes, at some places it has been mentioned that taking large amounts of coffee on a daily basis may cause disruption in the ovarian follicles. That was regarding diet. This is regarding your daily lifestyle. So as sir said that stress is so much there and late nights and everything disturbs your biological clock, disturbs your circadian rhythm. And in female, you must be knowing about the melatonin and serotonin, all these neurotransmitters. Okay, they help to regulate your hypothalamo pituitary ovarian axis. The neurotransmitters directly, they will either suppress or overstimulate your hypothalamus to secrete the hormones, GnRH hormones and others, which will again cause imbalance. So, not taking any pills, but just to change your lifestyle, not doing late nights. Even it is said that at night when you sleep, there should not be any light source also. Then only your serotonin levels, your melatonin levels will be good, because any light, like for example the light of a mobile screen, may even change your neurotransmitters and suppress the hypothalamus. Even day sleeping again causes disturbance, disturbed routine, like in shift workers, it may cause again imbalance. Vega dharana, especially if you are suppressing the urges, natural urges. There are so many natural urges for eating, drinking, yawning, sleeping. Okay, all these are the natural urges, even micturition and defecation. So not to suppress these natural urges. Again, why? Because it may aggravate the vata dosha, and it may cause the pratilom gati and disrupt many things. Tight clothing, there have been certain findings that shows that low waist jeans, which causes pressure on the area where your ovaries are there. So there have been certain findings that such kind of clothing repeatedly on the daily basis, if it is being used, it may cause some damage to the ovaries. And even tight clothing may cause restriction of the air circulation. Okay, so that may also lead to chances of the microbiomes to multiply in the vagina, which will change and alter the pH of the vagina, which is not good for the sperms to survive. So these are all very small things but should be taken into consideration. Use of cosmetics, as I said, lots many cosmetics, they contains the chemicals which contain xenoestrogens, and xenoestrogen again causes chronic inflammation in the body. Non-observance of the paricharyas, I'm coming to that. Sedentary life and excessive exercise, both are not good, because sedentary life again causes excess of weight gain, which we have seen. Excess of exercises like gymming and marathon walking and running causes excess of androgen and testosterone, male hormones in the body, which are not good again for the hormonal balances. So both needs to be taken care of, and very importantly stress. So what is pathya? Follow the proper dincharya, whatever guidelines are being mentioned, the rutucharya, the seasonal regimens, whatever are being mentioned, the paricharyas, the do's and don'ts for the female lifestyle, very disciplined right from the Rajaswala when she starts menstruating, when she wants to conceive Rutumati, when she has conceived Garbhini, when she is undergoing labor, prasuta, and after delivery, Sutika. So all these paricharyas, strict, disciplined do's and don'ts should be followed to maintain her reproductive health, not only reproductive health, but her natural health also, normal health. Ahar Vidhi Visheshayatan, how to consume food, how to take food. That guidelines are also been mentioned in. I'm not going into detail of that because of time. I have to mention many other things. Exercise, meditation, and indulging in the hobbies to take you away from the stress is very important. Yes, this is what I talked about. Chronic inflammation, beauty products, perfumes, and pesticides. Nail polishes also are being thought and known to have xenoestrogens, lotions, shampoos, so many things, even fruits and vegetables with pesticides. So even chronic stress causes chronic inflammation, inflammatory diet, unhealthy gut, long-term use of oral contraceptive pills, and over-exercising also causes chronic ovulation. Chronic inflammation. So this is about the reactive oxygen species, not just a brief that oxidative stress refers to imbalance due to excess reactive oxygen species. It is necessary for certain cell apoptosis, but it should not be over. If antioxidants are less in amount, reactive oxygen species are more, it will lead to oxidative stress, which may again start the chain and leads to the delayed conception, delayed fertilization in female as well as in male. So, what should be done? So, at the time of menstruation, female is undergoing this oxidative stress, and this oxidative stress will damage the ovarian follicles forever. They are not going to regenerate. So, at the time of menstruation, this is at the highest. Okay, they are known to damage all the components. Okay, and the studies have shown that they may cause infertility and dysmenorrhea. So, food restrictions, certain food not to be taken during menstruation, which are inflammatory. Okay, so that will be helpful, and to take the food which are rich in antioxidant, as I mentioned before, that you might not be able to get certain compound preparations to give to your patients, but these are very important and very freely available. You can say that shatavari asparagus, guduchi tinospora cordifolia, amalaki ambelia ribes, and even ashwagandha. So these are very good sources of antioxidants, and they are freely available, especially during the corona time. They were so much marketed, and this can be given at least to reduce the inflammation in the body. These are also having rasayana properties, rejuvenative properties, which will help to restore the natural rhythm in their body. So these are, yes, what modern medical science also says about these things, and that is why if you see in their prescriptions, there will be certain this medicines will be there in their prescription, which will be given to the patient so that her body is not undergoing the oxidative stress. So this will reverse the DNA damage also. So Rajaswala Paricharya, as I said, do's and don'ts during the menstruation, food rich in antioxidants, I will show, and to have a balancing the three doshas and have a Shuddha Artava. Menstrual blood is a sign of reproductive, it is a mirror of reproductive health. So from the menstrual pattern or even the color and everything, you can be able to know whether this is a normal menstruation or not. So Manarch rituals very common in southern India. They are being followed at many places in India, in rural areas especially. They are being followed. Whenever a girl undergoes Manarch, this is not a taboo. Okay, this is a custom, and to remove the negative attitude towards the menstruation. It is not that the female or a girl is told that now you are untouched person, or you should not do this and not do that, but to remove her first experience as a negative and stressful, because at each and every time she will menstruate, she will have such in her hippocampus, there will be restored such negative memories, and every time subconsciously she will show such stress responsive. But this celebration is a positive outlook, and what is being done is she is given good things and she is being celebrated, and she is being told by the elders in the family that now what diet to be taken and what not to be taken. So once she is being told about these things at the time of menarche, at the beginning of her first menstrual cycle, then she will follow that custom throughout her life. It is way beyond hygiene. It is not only for the hygiene, but also the customized regional education which is being given to the girl at the age of menarche, just to restore her bodily functions. So these are the recommendations. Of course, it will vary, as I said, customized region wise. No salt or chili powder for first 3 days, again to reduce the inflammation. Estrogen is a very good antioxidant, lowest at the time of menstruation. We want to encounter the oxidative stress. Sesame seeds, dry coconut, jaggery, they are very good and it is being given at many places for the first 3 days. No buttermilk or curd, especially on the first 3 days of the menstruation, because they are also said to cause some kind of inflammation in the body. Milk is to be given and ghee is to be given. Havishya annam. That is what is said in our text. Havishya annam means which the food which is given in the home. And in home we give milk and ghee in very little quantity. The Agni Mandya is there, digestion is less, but in small quantities if we can give this milk, again as I said, we have to be very careful what kind of milk we are giving. But ghee again is a very good antioxidant. Okay, turmeric water for consumption, and for the bath on the fourth and fifth day. Khichdi of moong dal, which is prepared from rice and this moong dal, and ghee without salt, and plenty of water is to be given, and certain varieties of fruits. And so customized regimen from the first cycle, if we give her and we train her, then if she follows this, she will not encounter such problems throughout. Okay, talking about the chakra meditation, you all must be knowing that there are 7 chakras in the body which regulates the various plexuses which governs the so many hormonal functions in the body. As you can see over here, right from the Sahasrardhar chakra to the Muladhar chakra, all the glands, they are being governed by these chakras. And if these are in alignment, it is said that I'm not a very good expert on this, but of course when we are talking about the restoring natural rhythm, we should always talk about the this thing also, because alignment of the chakra is very much important. So as you can see here, that it is causing certain changes in the body. There are certain doshas, and there are glands which are being governed by these are the colors also which are being told that they are the colors of this particular chakras. And you can see the location and everything, and what to do to balance this, to align this chakras. So you can see that what is the role in fertility. As you can see over here, physical stability and regulating ovaries and metabolism and emotional well-being and everything. So what to do is, there are certain asanas, there are certain mantras, and there are color therapies. Okay, there are certain activities which need to be conducted. If you require, I can send this to you, and you can even get them online, that what needs to be done to balance the chakras. So certain practices, balancing practices, if it is done. And signs of imbalance also you can see here. It is being mentioned that fear, anxiety, insecurity, menstrual irregularity. So this will be the signs. So if someone encounters such signs of imbalances, it can, this will, no medicine is needed, no financial aid is needed, just your time. Some of your time is needed just to do these practices, and zero financial, nothing is needed, but only your discipline, and to perform this with consistency is needed to balance the particular chakras. Okay, even like for regulating the ovaries, it is saying that certain asanas, I will show you the pictures also, and certain mantras and therapies should be done. So see, yes, effect of mantras doesn't lie only in the words, whatever words we say for particular mantra, but the vibrations which are created by enchanting or listening to the mantras, it also affects the chakras. That is why in traditional practices it is said that during menstruation, one female should not go or visit a religious place or a temple. Why? Because it will cause de-alignment in all the chakras, because certain chakras are functioning like from lower, and if you go in a temple, your upper chakras will start functioning. So that is why it is said. So causes, because it should not be chanted during certain cycles because it may cause problem, but certain mantras, of course, for fertility should be done after. Like this is one of the mantra you may get online. It is said that it is for fertility. If this mantra is chanted, Devaki Sut Govindam Vasudeva Jagatpate Dehi Me Tanayam Krishnam Twamaham Sharanam Gata. In very good voice, it is available on YouTube and many other places. You can tell the patient, or she can listen to this mantra regularly just to boost her fertility. You can see the meaning. O Lord Govinda, son of Devki, Lord of the universe, I surrender to you. Please bless. Just to get positive vibrations in the female or in the family or in the environment. So there are many other mantras also that can be done. Yes, nowadays yoga and fertility yoga, it is being so much being targeted and so much being used, and because of our prime minister, Mr. Narendra Modi sir, at so many places all over India, the yoga has practice has become so much more prevalent. And there are certain yogas which may improve fertility by regulating the HPO axis, such as Surya Namaskar, and certain poses which improves the circulation in the reproductive system. So these are the poses which may enhance the circulation and which may improve the circulation in the reproductive system, and it may help to restore again life's natural rhythm. So this is to be practiced regularly: Dandasana, Janu Shirsasana, Setu Bandhasana, Viprit Karani, Supta Baddha Konasana. Even previously I have mentioned to balance the chakras also. So there also these asanas are being mentioned: Balasana, Vajrasana, Matsyasana. uh, uh, First time you can take the help of any expert, and then you can practice this regularly. Somebody can practice this regularly: Ustrasana, Dhanurasana, but to be done in a proper way, because it if it is not done in a proper way, it may cause harm instead of benefit. So to be done under proper guidelines: Marjarasana, Supta Virasana. So these all are the considered to be the fertility asanas or fertility yogas. Even the pranayama, okay, the pranayama, especially the Brahmari pranayama, which reduces the stress, the Shitkari and Shitali pranayama, which causes the cooling effect in the body. If the Pitta Prakruti female is there, you can tell her to use. Not doing Bhastrika, not doing Kapal Bhati. These both pranayam should not be done in any patient suffering from infertility. Tell them to stop those pranayamas. Yes, Anulom Vilom pranayama, of course, it is for everybody, it can be done. And certain mudras also, like this mudra is said to be cause Yoni mudra. It is dedicated to the goddess Shakti, which means it helps to calm the mind by silencing the constant worrisome chatter in the head. It is said that it is having certain benefits. So making this mudra regularly also, this is cost effective. Nothing is to be done, nothing is needed just to do this. So as I said previously, identify the prakruti of the patient. So if you identify the dominant prakruti of the patient, okay, how dry periods, irregular periods, she is underweight, anxiety prone, so many insecurities, she will probe so many questions, she will you will answer something and she will ask again another question. Such type of prakruti if you find, Vata Prakriti patient. So this will be the diet recommendation. I will just give this to you because of limitation of time. I was supposed to complete it, I think, before 10 minutes, but still, give me a few minutes, sir. I will complete it. I will share this to you so you can again go through this. So how to do according to the Prakriti dominant individual also, so that she may restore her dosha balance. And once this dosha is restored in her body, the balance is restored in her body, you can say that her reproductive function will be heightened. So this is how in dominant Prakriti patients also you can. So yes, what Ayurveda says is right from the selection of the partner to the body purification, following the proper paricharyas, conjugation on special days, mantra and yagna, even Ponsavan Sanskar, and do's and don'ts of the antenatal also Garbini, to fulfill all the longings and desires, which we call it a Daurada, will render a healthy progeny. So not just for conception, but for even to get a healthy progeny. These are all guidelines of the Garbha Sanskara, which are to be followed as per the Ayurveda guidelines. So yes, this I want to mention because it is very important that we do not look down on a female who is infertile. This was published in one of the newspaper, and see, very rightly it is said that unless every girl is told that becoming a mother is not a final goal of her life, and that infertility is not the end of the world, the next generation will go through the same suffering that women face today. So people may look down, but the worst thing is women start looking down on themselves. This is what one Madam Rajalakshmi said in a newspaper. So we should be very careful that female should not look down on herself. So be very careful while treating the female surrounding to us. So uh, thanking to the all the persons who organized this, Babu Singh Jai Singh PG Ayurvedic Medical College, Farukhabad, UP, and Association of Europe Ayurveda Academy, France. Even Suresh sir, who had joined. Sir, I didn't know your name, so I couldn't put over here. Previously, Professor Dr. Manjunath sir, principal, even Dr. Salim sir, who contacted me very first to arrange this webinar, all the participants and all the researchers whose research I have quoted over here. And I hope I was able to deliver something, because it's a very vast topic, and in a limited time. I want to thank all the organizers to give me this opportunity. Of course, it's a very big task to complete this in a very limited time. So thank you very much. Thank you one and all for patient listening. And I'm sorry I couldn't
Thank
start.
you. Thank you, Dr. Carolina, Melinda. If you have any questions, any students is there, please you can interact with, because it's a very good. For 2 minutes, I would like to take Dr. Salimji. Just I'm very impressed the way she presented, and very natural. It is a combination of the what's happening in the, it's not only in Europe, in everywhere in the world. What is one line I would like to tell Doctor? We have a lot of females, but we are losing femininity. It's a serious sentence which I'm talking, because there is a race between the men and women in Europe and in the Western countries. There's a huge race is going on. There's a huge competition. In this, I strongly feel the woman is losing her femininity, and thus the infertility is one of the reasons for this higher rate of infertility which is going on. Because 100 years back, men used to do all the physical work, and women used to stay at home and raise the children. But now the technology is leveled, both the men and the women. Now the everybody is raising, and there is no time for women to look into her femininity. And this is very dangerous situation, and this has to be stopped. I think the way you put everything beautifully, and I'm sure everybody will follow, and we try to preserve the Ayurvedic knowledge is going to the only solution for Ayurveda and yoga for the infertile in the future. I think so. Thank you, Dr. Jasmine. That was a wonderful presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you so much,
Jasmine.
sir. Sir, if there are any questions, quickly, if there is
Yes,
time.
yes. Ma'am, you can answer selected questions there. No problem.
Carolina, do you have any questions? Melinda, if you have any questions, you can ask to the doctor. It's a wonderful presentation. It's a big problem, big issues, and it's a serious topic to be addressed. Seems they are very satisfied. They have no doubts, it seems, Dr. Salimji. And once again, I'm very thankful to your institution and your principal joining with us. And it's a wonderful topic. And I'm very impressed
Yes.
with the doctor presentation. Thank
So
you,
maybe
Dr.
I was very, very quick because I wanted to cover so many aaspects and there was a limited
No, you
time.
did very well. You did very well in the short time. It's not easy subject. It's a very big topic it is, and you have concised it beautifully. That's what we need. We don't. Nobody wants 3 4 hours lecture. They, they can't even understand. This short and sweet, and everything is concised. I
Thank
leave
you.
it to you, Dr. Salimji.
Hello. Jasmine ma'am, are you going to take questions? Few questions?
Sir, yes, sir. Yeah, if you can speak because I have stopped
Ah,
my laptop.
okay, okay,
So
okay.
I'm not able
I'll
to read. Yes,
yes,
yes.
yes, yes.
You can select
I'll
few questions
yes,
and we
yes,
can
yes,
answer
yes,
them.
yes, yes, yes. How to manage the infertility cases with AMH levels? AMH levels, that is the postmenopausal levels in fertility
Uh,
patients.
yes, if AMH is less than 0.01 or 0.02, this is the level of AMH, the patient do conceive naturally. Okay, but only thing is that she should not be menopausal. If you see the FSH and LH values, they should be under normal range. So it indicates that she is not going towards the exhaustion of the ovarian follicles. But the AMH low signifies that the ovarian follicle reserve is getting less, but she is not menopausal. So what you can do is improve the quality of whatever the follicles are present in the ovaries. So our target is not improving AMH levels, but to improve the quality of the follicles. So that can be done again with the Panchkarma therapies, and more we use Falagrit and Shatavari in such cases, even in the form of oral or in the form of Uttar Basti, even Basti. If such Rasayana medications, even Madhu Tailik Basti, if you have must have heard, Mustadi Yapana Basti, these are all rejuvenative. Okay, this will enhance the quality of the follicles. So if many patients with 0.01 which are being told who are being told that you may conceive with the donor ovum and go for IVF with the donor ovum. They have conceived naturally, not once but twice. But targeting them specifically after FSH and LH levels doesn't indicate that they are nearing menopause. So that should be done.
What about the Basti? Not Uttara Basti. The normal Basti. What role it plays in this infertility, doctor? Can you share your thoughts for our students there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because what Ayurveda says is Apan Vata dysfunction. Not only Apan Vata dysfunction, but also if we want to regulate the female reproductive system in terms of even the hormonal regulation, if you can see the circulation, reducing the inflammation at the level of uterus and even ovaries. So Basti, which is like Ayurveda says, it's the Ardha Chikitsa. Basti is the Ardha Chikitsa. So once you administer Basti, so many problems or menstrual cycles become regular. The pain reduces, the follicle starts maturing regularly, even the endometrial receptivity improves, the thickness of the endometrium improves. But only what medication you are going to use in the Basti, that is important. What are the certain days when you are administering the Basti? Because, and the type of the Basti. Sir, there are n number of Bastis, sir. It can be Anuvasan, it can be Niru, it can be Tiktak Shirabasti. So, endometriosis patient, if it is there, you can use a Tiktak Shirabasti. So, if annullatory cycle because of PCOD, you can use Anuvasan or Yog Basti using Dashmul, Erendmul, and even Shatapushpa, which is Anatham Sova, which is very good fertility, like Kashyapa says. So, these all can be utilized, sir, and as it gives miraculous results, sir. Even in low AMH patients also, if not Uttar Basti, Basti of course can be done, a Matra Basti. Small amount, 30 ml of dosage can be introduced daily basis for 15 days. It will give miraculous results, sir.
Because the reason why I asked normal Basti is because Uttara Basti cannot be done by any doctors. It's
Yes,
only few people in India they're doing this. I think all around the world, not everybody can do Uttara Basti. So we have to think alternative solution for general public, and generally all Ayurvedic doctors should be all normal Ayurvedic doctors should be able to, at least Ayurvedic practitioners should be able to work on which is close to the uterus. The bust is
yes,
close to the uterus,
sir,
rectum
sir,
is close
just
to the uterus.
yes, yes. I want
Yeah.
to add here, sir, that the best alternative of Uttar Basti is vaginal tampon. Yoni Pichu.
Good, good.
We are introducing the medicated tampon or we medicated with oil or ghee inside the vagina. It is very simple procedure with minor instructions. The patient can herself do that. Okay, so that is a very good alternative for Uttar Basti, sir, because you are introducing in the vagina, it is going to absorb. Vagina is having a very good circulatory system. It will get absorbed and locally it will function a lot. So even tubal blockages
Okay.
patients, they get treated by vaginal tampon, sir. So
Oh,
that
that's
can be
beautiful.
done. Yes, yes, sir. That can be done.
Should I think, according what I understood, is vaginal tampon is more of a local treatment,
Yes.
whereas Basti is
It's a
become a
systemic.
systemic approach.
Systemic. Yes, 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 sir. It's a systemic treatment. That is very true.
So, yeah, Doctor, what is your uh, how how you were managing with Uttarabasis? What was your results, and what kind of medicines you are using? Mostly ghee preparations or whatever. What kind of preparations is helping you better results? Can
Yes,
you
yes,
just
yes.
enlighten for 1 minute?
Yes, yes, yes. Very, I use very few medications, sir. I'm a doctor who uses less medicines. So I have a list.
That's very good. I
Yes,
like
sir.
the people who use less medicines.
Yes. So, very few, sir. My drug of choice in infertility patients suffering from anovulation is Shatapushpa. Because as
Excellent, it is.
yes, yes, yes. Api Vandhyacha Shandecha Suyate Shatpushpaya. So we give Shatpushpa oil, which is prepared in our pharmacy in the form of nasya, that is nasal instillation also, in the form of basti also, in the form of Uttar Basti also. So, sir, my drug of choice or medicated oil in the patients of anovulatory cycles of PCOD or any other anovulation, but not low MH, this is Shatpushpa tel, which I use regularly. Second, for endometrial thickness, to improve the endometrial thickness or receptivity, I use Falagrut or Shatavari Grut, whatever is available. It improves the endometrial thickness and even the receptivity of the endometrium. For the cases of tubal blockages, I use Apamarga Shartil, which is diluted with either Searcher oil or any other oil, whatever oil is available. We do not use Apamarg Shartil as it is because it is very much this alkaline, what we say. So
Alkaline.
dilute it with the other oil or ghee and then administer it. So it will not cause any side effects to the normal uterine tissues. So these are my drug of choices, or what I use for Uttar Basti. Oral, my drug are Guduchi and Shatavari. That is, these two I use and prefer a lot in all my cases, only that they should not be obese. If they are obese, I try to restrict using Shatavari. So otherwise, Shatavari
Mhm.
is a very good female rejuvenative. It will work miracles. Even you can use a combination of Shatavari and Shatpushpa Churna orally. It will act as a rasayana. Even orally, Falagrut you can use where the ovarian follicle reserve is less, so
Mhm.
AMH is less. So these are sir few, even Pushpa Dhanvaras, where you want to induce follicular changes to stimulate the ovaries. Pushpa Dhanvaras acts some miracles. Any Tiktaras Dravyas acts. So sir, I use very limited medications in my practice.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. I'm very impressed, doctor, the way you put it, because everybody, all the students, everybody must understand that there is a way in Ayurveda. Probably even we can do even better. But I'm just have some lighter side of our discussion, and I'm always surprised to see in India more infertility clinic. We have 1.4 billion population in India,
Yes,
and whenever I come to
sir, it's
Bangalore,
an irony, sir. It's an irony, sir.
it's
Yes, sir.
it's a surprise for me. Why the Indians need infertility clinic.
Sir, it's a fact, sir. It's a fact. With so much population, those who do not want, they keep
I
on
know.
producing. And on the other
Yeah,
side,
yeah.
it's an irony, sir.
I know. Thank you very much, Dr. Jasmine ji. It's a wonderful. We are all very thankful to you. We gained a lot of knowledge today from you, and all students and everybody who is watching you for 1.5 hours. I think I'm sure everybody got tremendous knowledge. Thank you very much once again, doctor.
Thank
And I
you
wish you a
for,
great day and
yes,
namaste.
sir. Namaste. Thank you for having me, Salim, sir. Manjunath, sir,
Just one
thank
more
you for,
question. One more question.
yes, sir.
Can we take one
Yes,
more
sir. Yes,
question?
sir.
One more
Yes, sir.
question
Yes, sir.
important that question is that from the audience, what all interventions that we can do in case of lean PCOD associated with infertility? What
See,
interventions we can in cases of lean PCOD patients?
Yes. Obese PCOD, everybody knows that you have to lose the weight. That is the first line of treatment. But lean PCOS, again, we get lots many of cases nowadays. And I have mentioned in my presentation also, the reason is two may be the foremost reason for that. One may be check for the history of insulin resistance in the family, whether anybody is diabetic or not. So that might be the one of the reason. And second reason is chronic inflammation. Just know their routine, what they are doing, what they are eating, what how they are doing it. So if you try to check the routine, I mean, if you see it is faulty, it may cause chronic inflammation, because there are four types of PCOD, sir. And one of the PCOD is inflammatory PCOD. And what patients we get nowadays of PCOD are inflammatory PCOD only. So these lean patients, we can say Vat Prakruti, they will be clearly, they will be showing all the signs of all these things. Just change their diet schedule and everything, but just look out that there is no family history of diabetes, insulin resistance. That is one of the thing. And then you can start with the intervention of reducing the chronic inflammation, and then enhance, okay, the fertility by providing Shatavari Shat Pushpa combination that can be given to them. It will, because they are non-obese, so you can give Shatavari and Shat Pushpa, and enhance the ovarian function. But just look out for the inflammation. If there is inflammation, change it. Give a shodhana in the form of sadhya virechana or virechana or basti, and then give the medication. It will affect more. Sir, you're muted. Sir, you're muted.
Thank you, ma'am. I greatly impressed with the answer and overall presentation. So can I conclude now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Yes. Thanks, Dr. Jasmine Gujarati ma'am, for a very fantastic and very scientific, clear-cut presentation based on Ayurveda principles. We enjoyed the scientific bonanza here, so we much impressed with the depth of the knowledge, micro things that Madam has told us regarding the male and female infertility also. Specifically, I would like to mention here the lifestyle causes that she has prominently mentioned about the infertility and ovulatory changes, and also mentioned the psychological and emotional aspects of the problem also. So that also greatly impressed us. And today's trends, lifestyle trends specifically, she has mentioned like the mobile or the night working, etc. So main thing that I personally impressed about is that the oxidative stress that due to the lifestyle that damages the ovarian follicles. This is a great thing I would like to mention here. So we should all remember this thing that this oxidative stress that basically we have to manage. Okay, so I'm thankful for giving this that is live here. Then preconceptional Ayurveda care that also may mention, Madam has prominently mentioned in detail, and mention of the Ayurvedic management, that is a Shaman and Shodhan. Also she has in depth with the yoga perspective explained here very beautifully. Then Pathya lifestyle, that is a Pathya management with the lifestyle adjustments here. Then apatya, effects of the apatyas also she has mentioned in detail. Also explained the benefits of the proper Rutucharya, Dinacharya, and specifically Rajaswala Paricharya Palan. That are very important in maintaining the regular ovulation and in future that is for infertility purpose also. Okay, so Madam has tried her best and also already has given the very fantastic explanation regarding the topic of the today's discussion, that is Ayurveda, infertility, becoming to the that is a natural rhythm, how to get the rhythm. She has explained very fantastically. I am thankful to her very greatly on the behalf of the Sri Babusri Jaising Ayurveda PG College, Farokabad, UP. I am also thankful to Dr. Suresh Swarnaguri sir, who has fully attended attended the whole session by sparing his time. So I am very also thankful to Dr. Suresh Swarnaguri sir. I am also thankful here to our that is the principal sir, our vice principal sir, our chairman sir, Dr. Shailen sir, Dr. Chairperson madam, Dr. Sunita Yadav madam, and I declare that the session is concluded. Thank you.